you know, thinking back to this and all that, I am gonna miss this series so goddamn much. And I just want to say that for this series and all that, like, it is up there and all that. It is absolutely up there as one of my favorite shonens that I've ever had the like glory just to read. This series has just been an absolute joy, and of course I am talking about Magi. Magi finally ended its long reign, like, coming into there with the manga, and it's like something that I've been following for such a long time now, like thinking back on everything that I've like seen from this series, like 369 chapters. That's not something to like absolutely mock at all. It's just goddamn incredible and all that, seeing like the series come to an end. And not only do I kind of want to talk about the last chapter in general, but I also as well just want to talk about my experience with the series, how I got into it, not to mention as well just how much like I feel like it's impacted me, and just how much I've like enjoyed these characters and how much of a blast it is. It's just an absolute treat through and through. And it's just so sad to see like one of my favorite trios, like Alibaba, Aladdin, and Morgiana. Like, it's one of the last times I'm ever gonna see them and all that. So at least with the like the manga and all that, I'm gonna send it off with a good old fucking smile. But I can't help and all that. I actually do feel a little bit emotional seeing the end of this series and all these characters that I love. If anything, I want to start off with like just talking about how I got more into this series than anything, because like I'm not gonna lie, thinking about with the last chapter, it's been untranslated for a while, and finally being able to read it. And I was just in a store recently, and I just had to end up picking like all the volumes that they had. Sadly, they only had like these 3, so my collection's still missing a few and all. They have around about 20 odd volumes for the series, but I need to go and get the rest of it. And just like one of the things I can immediately say is just, god damn, these fucking volume covers are absolutely gorgeous. It's one thing that Magi I felt like is like unreigned for one of the longest times, is that it has some absolutely amazing art through and through for this series, and being like very like one of the weirdest series where it's like it's inspired by like the 1001 Nights, like, which a lot of us expected the series to go on for that long. And you know, there's been things like behind the scenes with this series where it's like seemingly it's been rushed like as well to advance the style, and it like whether or not this was due to the fact that maybe it went lower in the rankings, whether or not there was some disagreements with Shinobu and in like Shonen Sunday, like we don't know. But even throughout all of that, like, it's just been a fucking joy and to talk about it. And like how I got into this series is like, I think like a lot of people, is that they saw the anime was coming out, the first season of the anime. This was like, I'd like to say like 2014 was that when it came out? I'd like to say either 2014 or 2013. I can't remember which like part of it came out in. I'd like to say maybe like 2014 is maybe when Kingdom of Magic came out. But I heard of this and was like Magi and all that, and I was like, oh, like, that looks actually interesting, all that. I remember reading the synopsis, alright, and I was like, you know what, I'm gonna check like a couple of chapters of this manga, and I ended up like probably reading 3 chapters, and I was like, well, I'm glad this little kid of land's got the same taste of boobs as I have. So, and I remember like, I'm gonna come back to this, I'm gonna watch the anime, and like, I think like a lot of people, I watched the anime, I was like, oh yeah, it's fantastic. And I remember seeing it like when I was reviewing it, like a few people saying like, it's going through material fucking fast, and it's like it's skimming a few things. I think it wasn't even until like the end of the Kashin stuff, like maybe the first like 12-13 episodes, I was like, I'm gonna just read the manga at this point. I think it was recommended to me like a while as well when I was watching the anime, and it was like, you should definitely read the manga, there's some fantastic stuff going on right now. And like that happened, I read it up and all that, and like I was reading it and I was watching the anime at the same time, and I was like, I think season 1 has a few little issues here and there with pacing, and like same thing could be said as well, they had some filler stuff near the end, but it's ended up all fine. And I just remember reading the manga and just being fucking hooked. Like everything, we want to talk about like Magna Star, we want to talk about that entire war, catching up to that during this one of like, I would like to say this is like during where like every manga at this point was in like a war, the 1000-year blood war. We want to talk about like the 7th grade like Shinobi war. We got all of this stuff going on like in there, and it was just, out of all of them, Magi stood out, and it was like, this is the thing to see and all that. This is an actual war where like both sides had like reasons to fight, and then it just got more complicated. More people were playing into the fray of the battle. It was absolutely mind-blowing. And then, not to mention, you had a very interesting view, because like even though Aladdin's the main character, it was from the perspective of 3 people. You got a little boy that doesn't understand too much of the world, but is so goddamn powerful, and like how he's like role plays into like choosing a king for the most part, from what we know from the early parts of the series. A merchant who has had a rough life for the most part, and sees things like kind of like, you know, like being the middleman for the most part, like for what we said, like with Alibaba, and sees it with a fresh perspective and feel like even through bad people there can be some good out of them. And Morgiana, who has been a slave practically her entire life, and seeing this like girl become like a full strong woman, and like being able to like make her own choices in life, and she like seeing and all that she can make her own decisions, and like it was thanks to the 2 people that she met since the start of the series. I feel like every single one of them and all that had something to give that. And I'm not gonna lie and all that, Alibaba can be a twat sometimes and all that, and that's what I feel like, if anything, made them human for the most part, is that every single one of these characters had flaws, but in a way where it's like, that's just like how human beings are. No one's perfect, unless you're Sinbad, we'll get to him. Like, you get to that point where like you're looking at these characters and it's like, you can see like, you know, Alibaba and all that is too trusting and all that. Like Aladdin, like just at this point, like he's too innocent to see things sometimes. Like Morgiana and all that, she just clearly doesn't understand people because she hasn't had that time. So like, and each, like all of them made up for their own mistakes, and seeing their journeys, and even as well where you see like they take different paths in life, where it's like, I want to like experience it from here. Like Aladdin goes to train and become a better magician and a Magi. Alibaba learns to be a greater warrior. Same thing with Morgiana. She comes to see it like she wants to see the world in her own eyes, not being like dragged along by other people. And that's just like only part of it. And like Magna Star, I like to say, is like one of the highest of the highs of Magi and all that. It's like one of my favorite arcs in the entire series, and like you had such interesting like governments into play. You got Sindria, you got the fucking pimp of the 7 seas, Sinbad, like coming in with all his warriors. Like he was one of the most, and even to this day, Sinbad is one of the most interesting and fascinating characters in this series, where he is a very complex character, where you can see some of the scumbag decisions that he does, but you can see he's doing it for the greater good for his people. At the end of the day, the thing that comes first is Sindria. Sindria and its people come first to Sinbad. Nothing else, no politics bullshit, it's his people. And like, he does some very questionable things in this manga, I'm not gonna lie. The final arc as well, you can, every time and all that, it's not that Sinbad pulled a 180, or oh my god, this is bullshit, what the fuck is happening with him. It's no. Sinbad, to the end of his days and all that, stick to his goddamn guns, and I can respect that for a character. And it's like, it is so interesting, even if like they're not fighting but just debating, because it's one of the interesting things where characters start talking about concepts of destiny, or like, you know, like slaves and like all this kind of political like stuff that you don't really expect in a manga. And then you've got the Ko-Empire, and like that's a whole fucking thing as well, where it's like they've got subdivisions in the Ko where like they are the main problem for most of the things in the series. They are the main reason. But you've got people in there that are good. Like you've got like Hakuryu's sister Hakue like in there. You've got Koen, who is a very questionable leader who has to deal with the dirty like stigma of his country and what they do. But at the end of the day, he's trying to fix it from within, and he knows the flaws. And just one of the greatest things is like seeing him in the Magna Star War, and everything that he does as well, like the like building up to the final arc with Hakuryu is fantastic. Like I think a lot of people would still say they wanted a full detail of Cohen versus like Sinbad, and trust me, I wanted that fight as well. I wanted to see those two go at it like that, but it made sense to like what the characters did throughout the series, and the same thing with the ending as well. Like with Sinbad, same thing with David. David is like a character which I have to explain this, like, mind you, with David and all that, even with his first appearance with like a small 4-page and all that. I remember this fucking clearly because I remember I talked to this thing for fucking hours with the Netherworld and all that, a fellow fucking reviewer. Like, I talked to him about this and we were like, it was hours and hours that we dwelled into the topic of David, the concept of destiny, everything in the rules of Magi, like how it all worked. And that's what fascinating about this series, is that it gives you those conversations. I've done like 20-minute reviews talking about just the concept of time and space and so, because the series dwells into it and it makes you think. Not only is it like a fascinating battle series, but it also just asks you some questions. It's like, it adds a little bit bonus. And I feel like where like Shinobu added in an interview recently and all that, saying like a lot of people forget a lot of shonens kind of like after when they kind of grow up and all that. It's like something you just kind of like, oh, maybe I might remember it some days, and it's still like, no, Magi is something I'm gonna fucking remember. Like, I feel like the same thing with a lot of the series that have kind of shaped me, like how I am today and all that, with a lot of the shows and all that. I don't think I'm ever really gonna forget this series. It's something that like a lot of people I know and all that, and I still, like, with friends and all that, still consider it like just, it's up there. Like, it's just an absolute little gem, and it's a shame and all that that I feel like it's never gonna get that full adaptation, because I don't think Kingdom of Magic did well. And that is a shame to hear, because Kingdom of Magic is fantastic. The music, like, even that, the OSTs and music for Magi is fantastic. Like, everyone, like, I think we know and all that opening 1 is good, but nah. Like, opening, like, 2 of Kingdom of Magic and all that, like that is amazing. Like that, like, I think, like, just everything from the series and all that had fantastic music from start to finish, and I always listen to it when I, like, review, like, when I talk about the manga, or when I'm ever seeing anything of this series. Like, there's just so much goddamn good from this series. And, like, as much as I praise this series and all that, it does have issues. I will not lie and all that. I feel like the politics can get a little bit too heavy sometimes. I even criticized it when, like, Alibaba went on a, like, fucking political bizarre adventure, like, against the Co-Empire for about, like, I'd like to say a volume or 2, which reading it weekly did get a little bit tiring, and, like, not to mention with the slow translations, it did not help at all. Like, diving into that, you also as well, like, had some things with the final arc. The final arc went on for a while. It was a very long final arc, but even still, it all paid off in the end. And I know people don't mind that, but sometimes you kind of want things to speed up a little bit, like, with the series. And so it's not even as well, like, one of, like, the one before, like, the Magna Star and everything, the final, like, the pirate arc, I consider it to be the weakest part of the series. I still consider that to this day. It's the weakest part of the series. But you have fantastic origin stories like you get with Alma Turan. Alma Turan was also slow as well, but you get this fascinating, like, whole little interesting, like, details and all that you get about Aladdin's origin, everything to do with his mother, like that, with Abba, like with every character that you get to see on that, like, Ugo, like, with Ugo, like, it was fantastic as well. Like it was all just such, like, amazing stuff to, like, dive and dwell into and all that. Like, Solomon, like, do we have to talk about Solomon himself and all that, and the sacrifices that some of these characters had to make? Like, there's just so much and all that, and it's, like, hard to, like, think about every fantastic moment in, like, over 360 plus chapters. Like, it's just so much to dwell into, and I really just hope that more people, like, kind of, like, talk about at least the final chapter themselves, or, like, talk about their experience with, like, the manga itself, because it's something special. I will say for the final chapter, because, like, the final chapter is a lot like how I've been seeing a lot of other shonens end recently, where it's like, you know, like, a lot of things, like, you know, it's a little bit of this, but, like, time skip after the end and all that, because, like, we destroyed David, we, like, at the cost, though, of sacrificing every metal vessel in the series, and it's like, you just get to see, it's kind of goofy at the same time, where you get to see, like, oh, like Alibaba is like, please and all that, you know, marry me, Morgiana, and he's like, no, because we're too busy like building this shit up. And he's just, most of the chapter is him being depressed, and he's like, oh, I guess I can tell you about like I'm just a merchant now, and he's like working between like the whole countries of the Rame Empire. Same thing with Ko. Like he's still achieving his dreams, and he's become such a political figurehead, and he is now the biggest, like one of the biggest merchants out there, because someone has to fill in those boots for Sinbad, like regardless of what. And I still love the fucking final chapter where it's like, we know you're gonna come back, Sinbad, like that. Even it's like something like this isn't gonna hold you back, and it's just like you get to see as well that like how much of an impact Sinbad left in the series, and like even with his whole reasons where it's like, I know I'm doing this from the bottom, like he thinks to himself, it's like, I'm doing this from the bottom of my heart, I know I'm doing the right thing. Am I a good guy? No, I'm not a good guy, but I am the one that will make the right decisions, what is right for everyone. And it's just that stuff, and it's like, he doesn't like as well, like he doesn't like flip-flop, he does admit when he's wrong, and he's like, Alibaba's putting like a very good argument here. Same thing with Aladdin, with the other characters, with Cohen. Like, it's why it makes such interesting things and why these characters fight each other. But he doesn't like give up on his morals. Everything that he's gone through, and that's another thing as well. Sinbad as well. A lot of the things with Sinbad, I feel like even without needing to see the Sinbad manga, standalone and all that, you really understand like a lot about Sinbad's character. It's a bonus knowing some stuff and all that about it, but even without the Sinbad manga, you already understand a lot of what this character has gone through his life, and you know that he's like made some very, very rough decisions throughout the entirety. Like, and it was a nice thing to see about like, this is what happened to Cinderia, like after the end of it. You get to see like a lot of the characters kind of reuniting. Same thing with like Drakon finally getting his like body back, and like he's a huge part of the Sinbad manga, and seeing him kind of like stepping up. Same thing with Jafar, where it's like these characters that have been like, they were like either at the bottom of the well, or they were now about to be executed, or they were like people that just did really dark shit for money just to get ends meet. Like, a lot of these characters did some fucked up shit, but Sinbad was the one that saved them, and they know, they're like, and they fully admit, Sinbad's not a fully good man, but he's the one that saved us and changed our lives, and they respect him. And it's like, at the end of the day, he's like, with everything with him and David, it is so much a better version of what Kaguya and what Madara should have been. It is that, but actually done right, and it isn't just this bullshit fucking 180 where it's like, oh, this just came out of nowhere. Yes, no, because Madara's too powerful. Yes, Sinbad was too fucking powerful. He became like the fucking Wheel of Destiny and the Rook system itself. But even still, they had reasons to deal with it, and even with that and all that, there were still logical ways to go through and actually beat the villain at the end without fucking changing things with Sinbad. Same thing with David. It made sense why David did the things he did. It made sense why Sinbad was acting this way. And like, how many characters have we seen have gone from like full fucking like, I'm a good guy, to I'm going to murder everything. Kind of like how Hakuryu still stick to his guns. He knew like he was in the wrong for a lot of the things, but he felt, same thing with Sinbad, he felt like what he was doing was right. He felt what he was doing and all that was justice, and like he had some of the best moments and all that, like in the same way, him and his boy Judar go out to cook against like Gyokuen. That is some fantastic stuff. Like, seeing those two and just like the amount of amazing just art and just gritty like horrible fight like you get in it, like where it's like these are like balls to the walls, like bloody as hell fights, and they are fucking great to watch. Like even as well, like, and I kind of wish they did an anime, and I still, like, if they ever did, I still think the perfect name for a season 3 would be The Origin of Magics. But like, I still think like I would love to just see Aladdin's mother like animated. Same thing with like Solomon, like Ugo, like all of this, like a bunch of great characters. And I am just like, even with remembering all the great moments and it like just seeing it kind of all happy and all that, where you get to see like Morgiana in her wedding dress, like saying like she's like so happy, and the same thing with like Aladdin, like being the kind of like that guy, like the third party, and it's like he got everything he wished for. The one wish he asked from Ugo was become my friend, and like he got the friends he wanted throughout the entire series, and it's like that's why like I teared up even without the raw. I knew that. Without needing to know the English, I knew Aladdin's wish was fully true. Now, there are still some characters I kind of wish I had a little bit of resolution, like Arbor. I feel like there's still more to be resolved. However, there are been talks about, like, and I don't know how fully that's true or not, so take this little bit with a grain of salt, but apparently that there is supposed to be a Chapter 3 Sentinel, even though this is the last chapter technically. So whether or not that, like how some mangas have like a little tiny epilogue, which is a couple of pages, maybe that might be something like that. But Shinobu, like Otaka, like this has been like the first work I've read of her. I know she's got like a different manga as well, Sumomomomo, and I might check that out as well. But this, like, and all that, I just really hope it just goes up from here, because this has been a fantastic series, and it is just so tragic to see it go. And, like, I know I fucking just drag this on, and I don't care, because I just want to talk about Magi. Like, it's just an amazing series. It is fantastic. Like, and I feel like that's the thing where it's like, I would consider this, like, for an ending, it's a safe ending. Like, it's a safe ending. Like, yeah, we get to see, like, how, like, a lot of the world is working now. And it's interesting how, like, a lot of the things have changed in the world because of what happened with, like, David. Same thing with Arbor. And I'm not gonna lie, I got emotional when Aladdin, like, combined all the metal vessels, like, and he was going to be, like, David. And he had behind him, he had Ugo, he had Solomon, he had his fucking mother there. Like, it all just got, like, I got choked up a little bit seeing that, and it's like all of them pushing him forward, and like Ugo as well saying no and all that. We'll see you sometime soon. We'll catch up. Like, don't worry and all that. Just like, and even as well what Ugo did. Ugo fucking, like, by himself with a human mind for the longest time held back the fucking entire, like, whole sacred palace. Like, these amazing moments in the series, and it's just like, and I know there's probably a few moments and all that, and I hope in the comment section that some of you guys mention some of the best moments in, like, Magi, because, like, it's just, I know there are some that are just saying like that, but I know full well, like, as soon as this fucking video ends, I'm just gonna rewatch fucking Magi. I'm just gonna rewatch, like, Labyrinth and Kingdom, and just boom the fucking openings, like, throughout the entire night, and it deserves respect. So, at the end of the day, Sinbad, you are a fucking pimp. You still remain, like, one of my favorite characters, and, like, you know, the man of the 7 fucking seas, like that. And it makes me want to go, I definitely need to see a little bit more. I'm a little bit behind on the Sinbad manga, so I need to get back on that. But if this is, like, your first time ever hearing Magi, I really hope it isn't, but, like, just, it is a fantastic series, and if people that kind of left it off for a little bit, like, please just, like, read some more of it. It is fantastic. It is a great series. And I really hope Shinobu, like, whatever she does next, I hope it is something on this scale. Like, and she just used so many great topics that I care about. Like, you know, talking about space-time, we're talking about destiny, we're talking about parallel, like, timelines, and, like, butterfly effects. There is so much with this series, and talking about, like, how destiny works, and, like, how, like, different time parallels. It's, like, she brought out all these topics that, like, make me wet thinking about, because it's some of my favorite topics to talk about, like, of all time, like, some of that. And she brought it into manga, and she brought some fascinating characters, and nowhere near, it's the strongest 9 I think I can give for a series, like for a manga. It's like, it's the strongest 9 out of 10 I can give, and it's nowhere near a perfect series, but goddamn, it is special, no matter what. And at the end of the day, I won't forget it at all. And it just goes to show, yeah, I've got like 20 plus volumes. I need to change that. That needs to be every single volume of this series needs to be mine. Another series that I'm determined to collect everything for now, because it fucking deserves it, and it's amazing. Thank you, like, for this horrendously terrible, long-winded just discussion or slash whatever the fuck. I doubt this is a review, like, at all. But thank you, Magi. It's been an absolute pleasure. Like, the one last time and all that. I'll see you guys though next time. Thank you, Magi.